in mutual respect and gratitude. As you just heard, this session will be recorded so that we can share it later and everyone has the opportunity to watch it again. This session is being presented as part of our track program, which provides a variety of different types of training and resources for museums to consider different things, including accessibility, EDI, and how you can incorporate that into your museum. So today we're really excited to have Kiera Sparks join us, talk to us about making museums more accessible. One more housekeeping piece I just wanted to mention to everybody is registration closes today for the Interpretation Canada Conference, and everybody is eligible for either to attend the full conference, or if you'd like to attend the 1.5 days, which is the equivalent of a normal ANSOM conference, we would really encourage you to join us for that day and a half. It's going to be really great and lots of great conversations. The link was sent out yesterday in the Beacon, but if you need help accessing that, please let us know and we will get that back to you. So we really hope to see everybody in Halifax in a few weeks in person. So now that I've gone through all my housekeeping pieces, I am really pleased to turn the floor over to Kiera Sparks Lucas. Kiera comes to us with a wide variety of experience working with different museums in the Halifax region, trying to help them make their experiences more accessible. And I've been hearing from these different museums really the impact that Kiera's work made at those museums. And so I'm really excited for her to share her experiences with all of us. So Kiera, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we all look forward to hearing what you say.
Hey, thanks a lot, Maggie, for it. We appreciate it. So my name, as Maggie said, my name is Kiera Sparks Lucas. I am a 21-year-old human with cerebral palsy, which is a disability that allows me to like not be able to walk, so I need the assistance of a wheelchair and walker to get around. Since 2020, since COVID hit, I was out of work, so I decided to become an entrepreneur and run my own business. So I do speaking, accessible consulting, and um, oh yeah, and I would a travel blog to make sure that people know when they travel, like what are some of the barriers that um, they can come across when they're traveling, or what are some of the things that are accessible, because we have to plan a lot and we have to plan our trips in advance, so we can't just go. So yeah, if Brittany, if you wanna change my squad. So this is just a little bit about me. So my name is Kiera Sparks Lucas. I am 21 years old. I live with cerebral palsy, which means I use a walker, wheelchair, and sometimes a cane to get around. I am a motivational speaker and write a blog called Kiera's Accessible Adventures. When I'm not writing my blog, I make magnets, which I'm getting ready to sell online and on my website. And I run my own program called Mentors for Mental Health at Club Inclusion, which is a work center for in Halifax for people with disabilities, for youth and adults. So Club Inclusion, just to give you guys a little background, is an awesome rec center that I work out of, and I started my own program, and so that's a whole nother like entrepreneurship goal that I had. So, and I achieved that goal. I had the opportunity to work with the amazing staff crew at both the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic and the Museum of Natural History. As a staff member, I was hired through the Easter Seals job employment program called Next Step. During my time at the museum, I had the opportunity to provide some accessible feedback from a visitor and staff point of view. I helped both museums become more accessible by doing a walkthrough so people could see how accessible things really were and provided advanced advice to make the museums more accessible. So yeah, I was actually hired through the Next Step program, which we'll watch a video shortly on that. But the Next Step program is really awesome, and they help people with disabilities to get jobs in the community who are 18 to 30, and they also have like a really cool accessible camp, which is super cool. So yeah. I was hired through the Next Step program, which provides people with disabilities job coaching support as they transition into the workforce. Job coaches are a great idea for anyone looking to hire people with disabilities because they help employers learn to work with people with disabilities and support their needs. They help people with disabilities learn the job and provide support until they're comfortable. And once everyone is comfortable, they go away and can come back anytime. For example, when you are learning a new task. So, as I said, this program is from uh, ages 18 to 30 who identify as having a disability because we can go out in the community. It's just a matter of getting the support that we need, and like we're more than capable of being in the community. I was in the community for a little bit, but then I struggled with my mental health, so I took a break and did the entrepreneurship. Like I started my business, so I did the entrepreneurship goal. So, and that was great for me. So not everybody can work in the community, but and not every you gotta find what's right for the person with the disability. But for them, um, I like how the option is always there for me. So if I did want to go back out, I could. Whitney, if you wanna. So this is a video, just like a short little video explaining kind of what the program is and how the program might work. You have no sound, Brittany.
Oh, thank you. Okay, one sec.
So my name is Carlton McDonald, job developer at New Leaf Enterprises. which is a skills training program of Eastern Seals, Nova Scotia. And right now we have an expansion program called The Next Step. So here at New Leaf, we have a number of employment opportunities. Our outreach program is aged 30 years and over. For those who are seeking employment or volunteer experiences, they'll come to us and we'll help them along their employment journey. The Next Step, that targets ages 17 to 30, helping them along their employment journey, transition from high school into the workplace, kind of helping them tailor their skills to be successful in the journey. Today's youth have a lot to offer. You know, the skills are there. They just need a little bit of help in getting to their employment journey. So we've created a curriculum offering workshops to help kind of tailor those important skills to be successful in the workplace. You know, employer expectations, workplace etiquette, resume writing, acing the interview if they're lucky enough to get that far. So we feel as a staff team, we've helped them along the way, tailoring the workshops to meet their needs and their aspirations into joining the workforce.
So just to kind of recap of what they said in the video. So we can work, we just need a little bit of support, like I said earlier. But we also, New Leaf gives us workshops so we're prepared and ready for the step of when we go into the workforce, and we can use those skills when we go into the workforce. As a person with a disability, I gotta say, it's really hard to find employment, and I just employment programs that even fit the person's needs. There are other programs out there, but I think this one is great. Community, like I said, is not for everyone, but and everybody's interest is different. So, oh yeah, and there's a picture of go back for a second, Brittany, and there's a picture of me. Yeah. So some things that I commonly see at museums that are not accessible and ways that Nova Scotia museums can do better. So the washrooms. So you may think that, oh, we have you have an accessible stall, which is not always accessible. So some common issues that I see in the bathroom is not providing enough space for people to turn around with equipment and mobility aids. So in an accessible stall, there's often not enough space for me to even turn around. Even with my small walker, or when I use my wheelchair, my manual wheelchair, it's hard for me to turn around, and I can't do it. And I just put yourself in that situation. If you were in a wheelchair, how could you, or had a mobility aid, how could you turn around? Having the doors swing inside the stall, taking up space and making it hard to get out. So when the accessible stalls were built, they were kind of built so that they would do the spring inward instead of out. So when a person with a disability goes to open the door, it's kind of wait in front of you, and it makes it hard to get out. If it was swinging the other way, it would make it easier. Having sinks and soap out of reach, or having coverage around the sink so a wheelchair user cannot get close enough to pull their legs under the sink. So when I'm in my wheelchair, I find it hard because there's coverage or something so that I can't pull up to the sink and I can't get close enough. So I literally have to reach over. And another thing that I find hard is the automatic taps, because they don't stay on long enough. And by the time I get my wheelchair situated, and yeah, it's just a hassle. Not having push buttons to open the doors, especially when they're heavy. So when the door is heavy, there's not always a push button. I often have to physically push my walker into the stall. The best solution to this is to have at least one stall bathroom that is large enough, has a push button to open the door, has a little soap and paper towel, and nothing under the sink, so that a wheelchair user can roll it under. Also, like, the sliding locks are helpful instead of the tin locks, because people with limited mobility, it's always helpful for them to slide and not have to fiddle with the lock all the time. So at the Museum of Natural History, I actually was able, they have a bathroom that now is fully wheelchair accessible, even though the staff bathroom isn't. They made it so that visitors and wheelchair accessible staff could have access to the bathroom. And I was the one who put that in because the staff bathroom was too hard for me to get into, because, like I said, I had to physically push my walker into the stall just in order to get in to the bathroom, and like the pull handles aren't helpful either. Brittany, you can maybe. Doors. So accessible buttons should be on all the doors. They should be reachable for a wheelchair, for someone in a wheelchair. Wedge buttons are best. This allows people to access the door independently, even if they have limited mobility. It also makes sure if there is an emergency, like a fire, they can open the doors no matter where they are in the building. If the doors have a step and lift, they should have a little lamp up. Even a small step is a problem for wheelchair users. So even a small step is difficult for a wheelchair user or even a walker user, because I'm off balance and I could fall. And the door buttons should be turned off at all times. it should be turned on at all times, because like if you have a staff member with a disability, that's the only way that they can access the door independently. Surfaces. It's very hard to push a wheelchair through carpet. Outdoor gravel is hard to wheel through. Hard, smooth floor surfaces are best. So when I did my first work placement, before I went to the Black Cultural Center and did it, so I was gonna work at a hotel, and it was all carpet. So I got there and it was full, like all carpet. So I couldn't push through. So I had to find a different place to do my placement for college. Brittany, can you maybe? Some things that I commonly see at museums that are not accessible, and they can do better. So audio and braille descriptions and gallery spaces are most important for people who cannot read or understand text, such as myself. So with my disability, I can't like I will be able to read letters in a book and read the words, but I can't necessarily understand it. So I use Audible as like I use headphones and I listen to a book instead of reading it and not understanding. Because with CP it can affect multiple things. So like not just your walking, but it can affect your speech. It can affect you can have like a learning disability, like myself, and you can also like your fine motor skills can also be or cannot see the text. This can help make people feel more independent and learn about the museum. So yeah, like I said, for people such as myself, like that is super important. Accessible parking. So museums do a good job at providing accessible parking, but it is important to make sure that curb cuts are nearby so that people can easily get on the sidewalks. It is important that they are not blocked by cars, loading trucks, etc. So it's annoying. So I was in Halifax on Friday and I was with my stepdad, and the wheelchair accessible curb cut was blocked off by a car because then I had to go all the way around and find the alternate route, and it's just so much more difficult. Please keep in mind that not all disabilities are visible. If someone is using a disability parking spot, they have a parking tag, you shouldn't question it. Now, if they don't have a parking tag, like an accessible parking tag, and if they're parked in an accessible spot, then you can question it. But not if they have an accessible parking tag. You can't question that. Accessibility is important because it allows people to have as much freedom and independence as possible. Accessibility is important for everyone, not just the disability community. You can have a disability from birth like me, so I was born with a disability. But there's also a good chance that you could develop one over time. So here are some examples. So you could have an accident that leaves you with a permanent disability. Example from a car crash. So if you got in a car accident or a car crash, that could actually leave you with a permanent disability, depending on how severe. You could also have an accident that leaves you with a temporary disability. So, for an example, if you break your leg and you have to have surgery, you can't walk for a good amount of weeks because you have to recover. You could get older and need more mobility supports. So my example is seniors use walkers and wheelchairs, and parents with strollers also benefit from accessibility. So like if the curb cut is blocked off, like a person with a stroller, because it's not flat, would have to lift up the stroller, and that is not like over the curb, and that's not very safe at all. Brittany, you can flip your slide. My final thought. So today I wanted to leave you with the message that even if you don't have a disability of any kind, as an able-bodied person, you should still treat people with disabilities, visitors, and staff the same way that you want to be treated, not as different. So we are all human, no matter what disability or what race or what background or what we use as a mobility aid. Those mobility aids are to help them to be independent, not for them to be treated as different. Now, I went through a lot of bullying growing up because I used a sports wheelchair for physical activity. And then it left me in tears. And my mental health got really bad. And so I had to seek help for it. And to this day, I'm still not like fully mentally recovered because of that day. And then after that, I sought help for it and found out that I had an anxiety issue. And to this day, I often feel like I'm very lucky that I have the support and I have the help, but our services are not really accessible, so we're being treated as different, so we're not really getting out in the community as much, or we're limited to what we can do, so we feel isolated. So if you see someone out in the community, don't just, or with a support person, because a lot of people come in museums with support people. they're there to help them to be independent or to help them with their needs. They're not there to be able to help them. They're there to support them and to make them feel independent and successful. So yeah. Do you guys have any questions for me or comments?
Kiera, I just want to start by saying thank you very much. That was a very moving presentation and some very valuable points. And I know every museum is different, has different accessibility issues, but I think everybody can take something away from this, even if you're a small museum or a big museum, doesn't matter. We're all kind of dealing with these issues and wanting to make everyone in our community feel welcome. So is there anybody in the participation group who has any questions they would like to ask? A question here from Memory Lane. Says, thank you very much. How can gravel areas be made more accessible without needing to put pavement in? And Kiera, just so you know, Memory Lane is kind of a historic village that kind of looks like you're walking through different houses, and so it's gravel roads kind of walking between the houses.
Maybe put like a flat ramp in to make it accessible, or some type of like without having to be paved. Like maybe you could put like a ramp to make leading up to the areas, just so that a wheelchair user can get from. Any other questions? Ramps on buildings. I'm thinking more. Oh, roads in between. So roads in between, you could have like a gravel pit or a gravel pit, and then you could have some type of accessible route for a wheelchair user, or just have a door that says like this is the accessible route, and then have it like all paved and all flat.
She followed up, is there any certain types of gravel that are best? I think, Kiera, I don't want to speak for you, but it's often testing things also that helps. So maybe inviting someone like Kiera to come out and help you look at options.
Like people like in the disability could help. Would a wouldn't stay away work? A wooden sidewalk.
So another question.
So what do you,
Go ahead, Kiera.
mean by a wooden sidewalk? Because something that would be more flat would probably help, because gravel is not the greatest like just to push through, because some people's wheels are different sizes. So I would get someone to test it out, would be my best answer for that.
There's a question, Kiera, about saying thank you so much for the insightful and valuable information. Are you able to share your presentation so that we can share it with staff? We are recording this session. And Kiera, would you be okay with sharing your PowerPoint?
Yeah, that would be perfectly fine. Is there a timeline for all buildings to be accessible? So this is my only valid answer right now. So by 2030, we're supposed to be, Nova Scotia is supposed to be fully accessible. I don't think that that's actually going to happen per se, because it may like actually start, because some of the older buildings are kind of hard to get into, and they would have to tear it all down and re-renovate. But yeah, they would probably start thinking about it. Probably.
First person experience today, improve things from that perspective. And there we go. So there's a question about information and current design guidelines and suggestions, and we kind of addressed that one. And Kiera, did you have anything else about guidelines or about suggestions for people doing this type of work?
Yeah, ramps should be like, they should be accessible, but they shouldn't be on like an incline. And I think there's a certain there is a certain like, you're only supposed to have it on a certain incline. You're not supposed to have it any more than that, because they can become too steep.
I'm just picturing people going down too quickly down the ramps. So yeah, again, Anson will try to get more of those resources out as to become more easily accessible and museum relevant. Dartmouth Heritage Museum is commenting something like boardwalks to the side. I think they're referring to the problem at Memory Lane with gravel roads going between buildings. They're suggesting something like a boardwalk to the side, giving a flat, even surface to use.
Yeah, that would actually work.
Does anybody else have any questions? Kiera, I have a question for you. What would be a place that you've gone to where accessibility really, barriers weren't something that you were facing? So that we'll kind of have an example of where's a really
Yeah.
positive place to go to.
Okay, so the only place that I can think of is the Black Loyalist Museum, the Black Loyalist Heritage Center. Does a really good job.
Okay, that's a great example. And it's a museum at that. So one that we all
Yeah.
hopefully can get to. Ruth Neal says another small point. Some people have neuromuscular or ear or lung conditions, but don't use chairs or wheelchair or walkers. For these folks, having seating available is very helpful. Long benches are often great, but a few chairs with arms are great too.
Yeah, chairs with arms are really good, like even for a non-wheelchair user, because if I want to transfer into a chair, it gives me more stability.
Yeah, we have some more thanks coming into Kiera for doing the presentation. A lot of people saying thank you, and for the saying it's a very informative session, and thank you for insight and guidance. And I would think we all have a reason to get to the Black Cultural Center to look at it not just for their wonderful exhibits, but also looking at it from an accessibility perspective. And more thanks from everybody. So Kiera, do you have any final words for anybody? One of the things maybe I would share is that you and I have talked about ways to connect you with museums to do
Yeah.
site visits. And that's something that I think we're looking at as part of the track opportunities. Is there opportunities maybe for a museum to tap into having a site visit? So that first person experience makes it also much more real than when you just look at guidelines and legislation. Talking to somebody who's going through this really makes this all more real. And that's why your presentation was really valuable. Do you
Mhm.
have any final words you'd like to share with us before we release everyone to the day?
Yeah. When you guys are thinking about like accessibility from an accessibility point of view, don't only think about like the physical point of view, but also think of like the mental point of view and what people need. Like people with autism might need like sensory things. So don't always, because it's not always visible, like I said. So
I think that's really good. I think we'll all be approaching our museums differently and walking through the next few days, looking at things a little bit differently. Thank you, Kiera. Thank you, everybody who was able to join us today. This session, it was recorded and we will share it on our YouTube page so that people can watch it after the fact. We look forward to seeing you all, hopefully, at our next training session in 2 weeks, which is a longer workshop, which is being offered in partnership with St. Mary's University. And it's about, I lost my title of it, microaggressions, and I don't know if we'll send out the link about that, but it's going to be an 1.5-hour workshop. It will be a bit more interactive, and we really look forward to having some of you join us for that. Thank you, everybody. Reminder again, hopefully sign up for the Interpretation Canada conference. And if you need any information, don't hesitate to reach out to us at the ANSOM office. Thank you again, Kiera. Big claps.
yeah.